Hello everyone, my name is Ivy and welcome to Beyond the Genetics. Today my guest is Nike. Nike is a medical doctor and a very good friend of mine, actually like a sister to me. Nike, thank you for being here today.
Yeah, I am so honored and so excited to be here. I'm so proud of my sister Evie for doing this and all she has done with Beyond the Genetics brand. And I'm really excited for the conversation we're about to have.
I'm kind of excited and nervous at the same time for me. So, what do you remember about our first meeting?
I feel like for political or just official, we like to say we met St. Nicholas during internship. I remember meeting during our MDCN training. Okay, for those, like just for a background, when you go to medical school, not in Nigeria, when at that time, when you come back to Nigeria and you want to work, you have to do like a training for like 3 months or something. So if you was at that training, I was at that training because we both went to medical school outside of Nigeria. And at that time, we probably never spoke a word to each other. We're looking at someone from afar. She had funky glasses and she's dressed really nicely and she sat the same line.
Yeah, we sat in the same line every time, every single time.
Yes. So I used to fangirl and just see her and be like, babe. So when we now met again in St. Nicholas, I was like, oh, yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, for me as well, right? I remember like meeting you. Not really me. I won't even say meeting because we didn't really speak during the whole classes. Yeah, we just used to sit down on the same row. I think it was towards the back, like one of the rows towards the back. And you were on is it the right side now? And I was on the left side. Yeah. And I just used to see you. I think what did it for me, like from a distance, I don't know if I told you this, but you reminded me of my best friend then in uni. So honestly, I don't even know what it was. But for me, like it was just a very, very good reminder. And I was like, wow, like this is still, I don't even know what it was because both of you, I don't even think you guys have similarities. It was just something that reminded me about, and I don't know what that something was.
The time I knew that me and Ivy were now buddies, our friendship is started making sense was when she didn't call me her best friend's name before she said,
yeah.
She used to say my name like, okay.
Oh my goodness. I know, you are so happy then because I always used to make the mistake because for me, I mean, for a Yoruba person, it doesn't sound the same. It did sound the same for me. And I always used to make that mistake. And the day I think I switched it, I was talking about her and then I called your name. And then you were smiling. And that was just how it was for me. I think because of that connection and that whole thing that I felt just from that past relationship, it was a good friendship. And now sort of like getting that really nice vibe from you. I just knew that for me it was like a straight on connection even before we started speaking and actually went on to have a proper relationship. It was a straight on connection for me. And seeing you in St. Nicholas that time, I was so surprised because I'm like, such a small world. I met this girl. So that's for me how, friendship. So kind of have the same story about how friendship started. And then we started living together, which was such, like for me, I always just say that you were God sent to me because that was I don't even know what word to use, but it was a period for me. And having that opportunity was very, 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 very nice for me. And then having now being friends and talking, it was quite early on in our friendship. And then we found out that we had this connection on sickle cell disease and just having that conversation. I remember when we were having that conversation, I think we're walking along the road. We're done for the day or we're going. I think we're done for the day. I think we're done for the day because we started living together then and then we're going home or something like that. And probably stopped to buy something. But I remember it was on that road, that GT Bank road. And we're having a conversation. And the funny thing, this is so weird for me because I have never had that sort of like conversation with somebody. And what I mean by that is that usually like with friends and people that I've had in my life in the past, I really don't like start off my friendship or any point in the friendship have a conversation about sickle cell disease. Like it's unusual. Friends that I've had in uni and people that probably found out about me having sickle cell disease and all of that. It was probably from someone that knew that told someone or something like that. That's how things just spread around. Because I know when it really got out, it was a doctor because I was sick, earlier in school, and a doctor had sort of like told my medical information to, some people. And it was just, that's how most people got to find out, because obviously information just kept on going. So I didn't really have that conversation or, had that experience with anyone before you. So it was really weird for me how, when you were just talking about, because I don't even know why we started talking about it in the first place.
I feel that day, I think I was having just a conversation about, I think I was feeling like, oh, I might have a cold or something. And then I said something along the lines of, well, in my house, if you have cold, does not matter. Like, if you have cold, you become the plague. My dad will tell you to, like, he doesn't even ask you, how are you doing? It's more like, better stay away from
isolation.
Just make sure you don't go and infect your sister. Like, and I explained that, oh, it's because she has sickle cell, that type of thing. So we couldn't risk that. So forget about you, you'll be fine. But I just went on this whole rant, like, unknowingly. And then that now said, that's a connection. And it was like a light bulb, like, because at that point I had no clue.
It was really, strange for me, because I don't know why I now said, oh, yeah, I also have sickle cell disease. Because the point you met me, I feel like I was, or I have been in this road of progress. Because early on, honestly, wow, I did like a whole race between me and just this whole sickle cell thing, like a whole race. I think I wrote an article about it, something about, what is the name? Oh my goodness. Not my weakness, the race, or something like that. I wrote an article about it, and it was just basically about what my experience have been just having sickle cell. So what the article was about is that I had described sickle cell as a shadow. So it just kept on, and I felt like I was in a constant race, because I didn't want to have any association with that whole thing.
Yeah, it's sort of like you're trying to run away from your shadow.
Exactly. And that, obviously, that doesn't make sense, because your shadow is going to follow you everywhere. Yeah. So it was coming to the realization that, okay, this is part of you. And so it just being on that process and going from that, honestly, it has been a really good experience for me, because if you had told me what now, like 3 years ago or 5 years ago, that, oh, if you'll be doing a podcast and actually talking about this, I would have said, wow, like that is definitely not me. I can't be me, obviously, because I can't even like be in a conversation, like entertain a conversation or even start a conversation. But now is way, way better for me. So, and probably that was God's way of just, cementing our friendship further. So after that point, do you feel like, okay, knowing that sort of it maybe changed our whole relationship, or, anything like that? Like, do you feel as though it made any change?
To be honest, no. The fundamentals of the relationship, no. If anything, it gave us more content to just about. Like, we just had a lot of, like, similar things not similar things, but, experiences. Any experience in myself of having been in a family that happened, we just had a lot of, like, similar stories, whole section. And if anything, it made me, if I respected you at 100%, I now respected you at 10,000%. Yes, in that sense. That's actually the only thing that flipped. I had a huge level of respect for you, and like we just had more content to talk about, because like we just related on this issue. Yeah. Did anything change for you?
For me, I won't say anything changed. I don't think anything changed. I think things just went on the way they were supposed to. But if I'm to point out something, I'll probably just say like it made the foundation of the friendship a bit stronger, because like what I said, for me, that was the first experience for me having that conversation with somebody. So it was sort of like a relief, and also sort of strange, because I'm like, I don't even really know this person, and I'm, being so open, like that. For me, I would just say it made the foundation of the friendship stronger, and it gave us a connection in a different way that I don't really think that can be broken. You get when you just have that. That's what it feels like for me. So with all of this now, and with your experience, would you say that it influenced your decision in being a medical doctor?
Like, I don't know what is more than yes. huge. Yes, it's everything. Like, I don't shy from it. Like, my why for becoming a doctor was what our whole family, and particularly member that had sickle cell disease went through. Like, because you relate with this. When person is ill, like doctors are looked at like superheroes. It's like especially like in the Nigerian health system where for a long time we'll be like, okay, when will the doctor come? When will the specialist is coming on Tuesday? Okay, so let the specialist come and move his magical wand, take the pain away. Like, see, we just looked up, like, our prayer was okay, let the specialist come, which really shouldn't be like that. The specialist should be there from day one. So we're always like, okay, when the hematologist comes, everything. So I just, like, that's what drove me. I wanted to be in a position where I could help people like her. And then, so that's what drove me into medicine as a whole. But obviously, going into now realize which one you like, and it was so funny when they now became actually pediatrics that I like. I'm one of those cliche stories. I went into medicine so I could help save my sister or everyone like her and stuff like that. It's my why.
Yeah, that is such a nice story, really. Honestly, for me, I don't even know why I decided to become a doctor.
Like, why medicine? Did it have to do with the health condition, or was it far from it?
No, I don't know. And because of the fact that I don't know, I even had to put together an article as well that I put on my blog, actually like break it down, like why medicine. And I really don't know. Like, honestly, I don't think it had anything to do with sickle cell because of the fact that I've always ran from it. I never really embraced it until like after medical school. So except it's some sort of like unconscious decision that I took, then I would not say that, oh, sickle cell had a part to play in this. If I'm to give my reason for studying medicine, if I'm to give it any reason, like I would probably just say it's the fact that I was modeling after my sister. You get, that would probably be, if I'm to pinpoint it to something, that would be, but honestly, I honestly don't know why I studied medicine, but I do like it, and I know that, honestly, I don't know, I really don't know, but I know that it's something that
everyone has like a different journey. You wouldn't still be in medicine if you didn't like it now, because it's such a sacrificial
Oh my goodness, like tell me about it. Like sometimes I'm just like, why am I even doing this? Like, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? But, and that thing sort of haunted me for a while that, oh, you don't know why you're studying medicine, you don't know why you decided to go down this route. Then I started thinking, because of that reason, am I really supposed to be here? Because I've spoken to quite a number of people and I'd asked them, like, oh, why did you study medicine? And people had their own reasons as to why they study medicine, but I couldn't give a reason why. And I had to sort of struggle with that and get to the conclusion that I don't always have to have a reason. Like, not having a reason has a beauty in it as well. So realizing that for me sort of gave me peace and say, okay, Ivy, you know what? Like, we don't have to pinpoint a reason to why we have decided to take this route. The most important thing is that we are here, we like doing it, and we are making a difference, that we're actually doing something that isn't what we are passionate about. So getting to that point for me was very, very important because I had a lot of like questioning myself and doing things like that. So would you say that this whole experience that you've had with sickle cell has affected your practice? And what I mean is that, like, how does it feel? Actually, I have 2 questions or 3 questions concerning this, so let me just try and rephrase them. So I guess the first question would be like, do you feel like it has affected your practice in terms of your doctor-patient relationship? Do you feel like it has sort of like had an impact on it?
For sure, for like this one, very like it's such a big yes, and that's because even before, especially after medical school and you're about to start your first real job, which was internship, it's like there was something that just told myself the kind of doctor I want to be, and one of this because one of the most, I mean, I can't speak for my family member that actually went through the condition.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Family member sitting outside. I think one of the most frustrating things was always information. We would just be sitting almost helpless. Okay, what is happening? The drugs, when are they coming? Or is the doctor coming? Or just like basic information. Or okay, you come and see her today, you just look, touch her here. Next thing you write some things on your paper and you say bye. You don't tell us, okay, progress, how are the labs, nothing. So I just made a conscious decision, like, to actually communicate with patients. Like, let them know, let this be like, we're in this together and this, we're all trying to get you better. So we communicate along the process where it's necessary. Lab results, progress reports, just that indication the journal, okay, this. It seemed like such a menial thing and such a small thing. Like, it was something that was particularly hurtful, at least on my route the process, where we would have to be the ones actively going, okay, doc, what's happening? Doc, how is it? Is it getting better? Did you get that kind of thing? If there's one thing I can pinpoint, is that really changed my perspective. And also, I think just on a sensitivity base, like, you just become more sensitive to someone's pains, issues. You see, because sometimes you will be so upset if she's missing like how many weeks of school. You can easily be insensitive and be like, hey, you need to get better first. Stop crying about that one. Let's focus. Sensitive to the fact that it's not fun being the one that's always missing school, or being the one that's always, you get, so just, it can go a long way in helping them even get better and developing that relationship. So I'd say she's my why, and then she's why, like, I make sure that I'm the best kind of daughter I can, just because.
That is your way of giving back, like, into this whole, with all this experience, your way of trying to make even the littlest person, like, even if it's just one person, feel better, and you feel sort of like relieved having to make, like, for me, actually, I feel as though, like, for me, my interaction with patients are definitely better. I don't know if I would have been like this if I didn't have that experience. Because one thing for me is that, and I feel like it's such a contradictory thing, because I do not like hospitals. Absolutely hate it. Absolutely hate hospital. And every time I say this, that's it. People just look at me like, how can you be saying this when you are a doctor? But the truth is, I cannot stand hospitals. Like, you're going to visit someone. Like, if you see the way I am in hospitals, because I just feel like everything is just, it gives me this sort of like weird feeling, goodness. I don't like hospitals. The only way I can stand hospitals is being a doctor. That is the only way I can stand being in a hospital. And so I understand how people are. And it's not just even about sickle cell patients. It spans all through. Like, all through, all kind of patients, anything they are going through. I understand how difficult it can be having to be in a hospital, especially when you have to spend 1 week, 2 weeks, like 3 weeks, a month in these confined walls. Honestly, like, it's horrible being in that situation. And the least thing you can do as a person, not even the fact that you're a doctor, as a human being, the least thing you can do is to be patient, is to have a smile on your face, is to be nice. Do you understand? Because that little thing, that little smile of going into a patient's room and smiling and being like, oh, how are you today? They may not necessarily feel good, but just that smile can change a lot. Like, you have no idea. It can change a lot. And for me, that it has really helped me, because I can understand. And what I say is, I know what the view is from both ends. Like, I know what it's like being a patient, and I know, what it's like being a doctor. And it's not fun being a patient at all. It's really, really not fun. And if you put that in mind, you would definitely want to show more empathy, show more sympathy, just all around be patient. And like you talked about, information is very, very important, to keep updating people and just let them know that you're not just sitting down there. Because when it's, and I probably you've had this experience as well, but like, when you're in the hospital, like for me, being in the hospital and you are in pain, like severe pain, like you are crying and all of that, and somebody is just walking around. You've pressed the bell, you've pressed bell, press bell, press bell. Like, people are just walking around like somebody is not even calling for help.
We're preparing the medication. It took me as opposed to just ignoring me as if
Exactly. And please, how many hours does it take? Not to, be insensitive about anybody, but how many hours does it actually take to prepare medication? Do you understand? You just keep walking around. You can be there in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, you are there in pain. Like, it's up to the extent that you just sort of like, it's not as if the pain gets better, but you are just like, you know what? I don't even have strength to even, I don't even have strength to even cry again. I don't even have strength to even feel this pain again. So let's just lie down on the bed. Like, I've even had personal experience of being in pain, like actually being in pain. I don't know if you know this about me, but I hate medications. I really do hate medication. I hate opioids. I hate all of them because I don't like anything that messes with my mind. And honestly, those drugs mess with my mind. I don't really like them. So for me to actually ask for a medication, you have to know that this pain has choked me. Like you get. So I've had an experience where being in the hospital and actually pressing that bell, like I'm pressing the button, pushing the button, and like nobody has answered me. So finally now the nurse now came and somebody is in pain, like answer the person now. She just goes like, but I've had painkiller now. Sure, they've given me painkiller. If you see the annoyance saying, hey goodness, like if you see my annoyance that I looked at her, because in my mind I'm like, why would you think I would ask for something that I don't need? And the funny thing is that they hadn't even given me painkillers. That's what even pissed me off. That was what pissed me off, was like, can you imagine this? And I know that, like there's drug seeking behavior and all of that, but honestly, I don't think that should be the first thing that comes to your mind when a sickler is in pain. I really don't like the word sickler. I don't know why I used it, but I don't think that, should come to mind. Like you should attend to the person's pain. You can't leave somebody in pain crying, like squeezing. Have you seen, okay, obviously you've seen a sickle cell patient in pain, a cell warrior in pain. Like you know how that scene looks, like literally squeezing and you're just, and then someone is telling you that, oh, I can't give you painkiller because you asked for painkiller, or because I've given you, and knowing the fact that they haven't even given me. So it was just really annoying for me, honestly. It was very, very annoying.
One of the worst things you can do, disregard pain. You might see if the pain is not true or something like that. And it cuts across even all of medicine. Ever disregard it. Even if you doubt its credibility, first understand it before you say no, it's not possible. And all these things we're talking about, like you mentioned, patient, being kind, a smile, communication, they seem like so small, like before Uncle won't say dog takes you being on the other side, like you being a patient, me being a family member who is a patient, they are actually not common. Kindness is not common. A smile is not common. Communication is not common. It's actually not common. That's why we're really honing on it. Like this is what we learned, because you only realize that it's so key when you're on the other side.
You don't realize the scarcity until you're on the other. And it's not even as if you're blaming the doctors. Like even doctor is stressful, so you can get carried. If you pay attention to those things, then regardless of how your day has been, like just taking that extra step and putting all the stress behind you and just saying, okay, I'm going into this patient's room and I'm going to put everything behind me and just go in as free as possible with a smile and just do that. Because I had this experience, it was a recent experience actually. It was about a cannula with a patient, and so I was supposed to, actually the one that was supposed to put the cannula initially, but I was so swamped with work and I asked the colleague to go in and put in the cannula. And I think about maybe 3 minutes later or 5 minutes later, he came back and he was like, oh, he can't put this cannula in because the patient is being difficult. And he was like, oh, she was saying, oh, the thing is too tight, this and that, blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what, no problem, I'll go and put it. So I just, it wasn't such an urgent cannula, so I got done what I was doing and then I went into our room. And I just sort of really was as calm as can be, like in my natural state, really, because I feel as though that's how I treat all my patients. And after doing the whole thing, and then the lady looks at me and she's like, oh, what is it she said again? I'm probably paraphrasing, but it was some in the line of, imagine what work can be done with the right attitude, something like that. And I just actually smiled. And so as little as a cannula, as little as how you approach the patients, it really changes a lot, and you have sensitive about those things. And I don't feel like you have to have had the experience of being a patient for you to be sensitive about those things. It's just be human. Like be human. And so my other question I wanted to ask is pertaining to just working in the hospital. Like how does it feel like when you have to attend to a sickle cell patient, especially those that, at the end of the day, it's sort of like a negative outcome, like you're not able to save the person. Like how do you feel and how do you deal with things like that?
Yeah, for the longest time, like I used to say, like across board, I always treat my patients 210% of my everything. But I think it was, working, you see quite a number of sickle cell patients of mine at that time actually looked at me and told me, I was like, Nikki, the way you do sickle cell patients is different. I was like, no, now all my patients. I'm like, this is all my patients. She's like, I know. Like, all your patients, you treat them, you take it P. Sickle cell patients, you take it PP. At that point, I didn't even know what I meant, but I think I realized that the only thing with sickle cell patients that is different for me is that sometimes I just like to be that extra voice. Because the medical system is beautiful, but it has its flaws. Sometimes you can wait, maybe if a medicine is supposed to be given at 2 p.m., because of, infrastructural or system delays, nurses, understaffed, all those kind of things, the person may end up getting the medicine around 3. When it came to sickle cell patient, I could not sit down, even if it means me doing that 2 p.m. I know, how at that time, if you allowed to research, we're going to have a tough night. Yes, and that kind of thing. It was just on my case. And I remember I said to myself, I'd be like, I should fight for everybody, shouldn't I? Not just this thing. But I guess because of my own personal experience, I guess that maybe there's just that extra fight and that extra bit of understanding, especially when it's at a point, because sometimes sickle cell pain can be hard to manage, even when they get to the point where they're like, what else can we do? We've on all the meds, we're doing the time. I wouldn't mind, when they say, okay, at this point, let's start giving placebo. I'll be like, okay, no, what if we stagger it? What if we want to, I just was that extra voice, just saying, let's just try. Just because I know, your own family member is just in your head in that time. You sort of see your family member in every patient, and there are so many similarities in sickle cell pain and how people react and how patients react to sickle cell pain. And because of that, it just gave me that extra bit of sensitivity, bit of fight, where I just feel, and actually feel like it's not just I'm being extra, especially in the health system. Sickle cell pain is managed, that is not always the best.
Yes. And especially in Nigeria, right? Not every hospital.
Malaria, and other common ailments. Sickle cell pain. I just seeing that, it just made me gingered and very active in trying to cover up. And I know Ivy too was very much Ivy herself. If I was giving 200%, Ivy was probably giving 500. Yes, because she would carry it on her back, that kind of thing. And I knew why, and also I did the same thing. I was always really, really as a doctor, you learn to sort of center your emotions. You don't become emotional, when you lose a patient, you don't become dead to it. But you cannot feel everything with the highest intensity because you won't be able to work. Because losing patients happens. So you need to be able to wake up the next morning to help the next patient so that you don't lose that patient. But obviously, a sickle cell loss, I don't know how it feels for you, Ivy, but you feel it that bit more. Something usually takes a couple of hours for you to shrug off. I might still be feeling it the next day and for the next couple of days. Doesn't mean I will work and function level. That one is lingered. So that's your
you have to find a balance. You can't be ruled by your emotions. You have to find a balance.
Yes.
And for me, I think one of the, I don't know what, is it shocking moment or one of the experiences for me was when I had to do a CPR on a sickle cell patient. Wow. Internally, I was like, oh my goodness. But externally, obviously, you just have to put on that, let's tight everything, let's continue. And then you are trying and you're just internally, I'm like, God, please. But externally, just, keep pumping and just hitting hard and, and then when the person did not come back, it was because that was my first experience and it was quite hard for me. But like you said, you have to find a balance and just get up the next day, be come in and attend to the next patient, because saving that next patient or that next patient surviving and getting to go home, it gives a satisfaction as well. So it's not all bad. Yeah. And for me, in Nigeria, right, when it comes to pain, not every hospital even have those medications. I've had, and this is from friends that like talking to other doctors, and I remember a friend of mine was telling me, and he was like, wow, like, he has sickle cell patient in his hospital, and honestly, all they can give is paracetamol because that's what they have. And I was like, what? Hey, goodness, like paracetamol. I was like,
You might as well give the patient water.
hey, goodness. The thing just, it sends shivers down my body. I was like, paracetamol. Like, I could not imagine being in a hospital and all they had to give me was paracetamol. Ha. You know what me I would just do? I'll just remove cannula from my hand, remove it, and just pack my bag and be going home, because it's better me I'm at home, like dealing with the pain with my own remedy.
Maybe what she know about if you're giving her nonsense care, she will discharge herself. Like, she doesn't have time. She will discharge herself. Her threshold for discharge. Like, I don't know.
Oh my
Every time I want
goodness.
to be, she's always saying, that she's leaving. She's going to leave.
Because I don't understand how I'm supposed to be in the hospital for hospital care, right? So why am I not getting hospital care? So I might as well be at home. Is it not to drink water? Shey, I'll drink water. I'll put hot water into hot water bottle to ease my pain. I'll use patch. I'll use this, because if you're giving paracetamol in hospital, I can buy it from the pharmacy, please. Do you understand? Paracetamol is over the counter drug. I buy it from the pharmacy, I'll go home. Because I don't like hospitals. So the only reason I'm here is to get that optimal care. And if I'm not getting it, oh my goodness, like there's no need. I will just remove the cannula from my hand. Thank God I'm even a doctor. I can remove it well. Of which you don't even have to be a doctor to even yank a cannula out of your hand anyways, but I'll remove it from my hand. I'll just say, shares DAMA form now, discharge against medical advice. Give it to me, I'll sign it and go home, because yeah, especially when it's not as if you are giving me oxygen, because it's not every time you need oxygen during a crisis. So if you are not giving me oxygen, what else am I doing, please? Like when he told me that thing, I could not just phantom it, I could not just imagine it. And you hear so many stories like that in Nigeria, and it's so sad. Like it breaks my heart. There was one I heard, and I was really, really broken. That okay, a sick cell patient went to a hospital and they couldn't get oxygen. Like that person died because of lack of oxygen. Oxygen, that was what was missing. Like it broke my heart so much, because I'm like, what? Oxygen, something that is even free for everybody to use, and the hospital couldn't provide oxygen. It was so heartbreaking. It was so heartbreaking. And honestly, I just really pray for healthcare system, especially in Nigeria, to just get better. I really pray for it to get better, because when you hear some stories, right, not even just pertaining to sickle cell, but when you just hear some stories, wow, you just somehow, like, you don't even know when you even start crying, because it's so sad. It's so sad.
That's what gives me joy about, like, I mean, me, you, and our generation of doctors, there are still some there that we're determined to try and help, even if it's just that doing our job and doing it to the best of our ability. And then you now have others like you who go a step further. By the way, plug, Evie has Little Cell of Mine Foundation, which is aimed at sickle cell advocacy and helping and bridging that gap that is there in sickle cell care. That's what Evie has dedicated a huge chunk of her life to, and it's so amazing. And all these, like, we know we're complaining about, but you can see we're also trying our best in any small way we can, particularly in EVA, to
I just like the fact that you are doing advert for me, and you are literally just hyping me on my own podcast.
So my baby doing things. What?
Oh my goodness! Wow, yeah, it's just because of having that personal experience with sickle cell, and for me, I had it through the primary lens. I lived it, and like having that, I just knew that having this foundation was very important. Like I could not just sit down and know that there are people there that are having a difficult time, because not everybody is fortunate to have have a better experience than others, because sickle cell hits differently. Like you cannot predict it. It hits differently. People have different experiences with it. And to know that, okay, there are people out there that have had it worse than me. Because my guardian in school, then in uni had said something to me. I can't remember the exact word, but it was something in the line of people who are fortunate enough have a responsibility to give back. And somehow that really has, I've held on to that. And I'm like, that is really true. Because not everybody has that opportunity. Not everybody has that easier experience. Because I consider myself 100% fortunate. 100%. I consider myself fortunate. And I've had my own experience with sickle cell. I've had my own, trials, all of those things. But still, having all of those, I still consider myself fortunate. And just knowing the burden it can be on a family. Like, people do not understand this aspect. And that's one thing that my foundation is focused on: awareness, focus on all of that, focus on all of the other things when it comes to sickle cell. But the important thing is just improving the lives of warriors, and not just warriors, like their loved ones, because it's very important. Very, very important, because the whole family goes through it. It's not just one person. It's a family affair. It's like even your best friend is going through it. Like, you have that tight relationship. Everybody is going through it. So it was very important for me to go through this path of having this foundation and focusing on mental health, because my foundation is very big on mental health, like therapy session and things like that. Because sometimes, no matter how close you are to your sister, or you're close with your mom or whatever, sometimes you can't have that conversation. There are certain conversations that you can't have. It's not because you don't want to, but some conversations that you want to have, that this conversation is going to break their heart. And I say break their heart because they just can't take it in how much pain you are in, not just even the physical pain. Do you understand? Like, how much struggle you have to go through to, go on your everyday life and things like that. Like, when you love someone, like, it's so hard for you to hear what they are going through and not being able to do anything. Like, it's one of the most heartbreaking things, honestly, is not being able to help somebody that you love. For me, that's why I feel like sometimes it's easier to talk to a therapist, to talk to somebody that this is what they do. Because just because you don't want to put that much on your loved ones, because it's just going to break their heart, honestly. Like, it's just going to break their heart. And I just won't be that person that would knowingly put people that love me in that situation.
Like situation,
Now, with your experience, like, having to have this whole sickle cell experience while growing up and things like that, like, how was it like? Do you feel like growing up was different?
Well, first of all, I just want to say credit to my parents. They really did try to, create as much quote unquote normalcy as they could. So I back on my childhood and think, wow, it was plagued by sadness. But what I do know, I remember those, especially the dramatic ones. And I thank God for my sister's life. Like, her younger years were like, maybe when she was a child, like, were quite traumatic. Probably the worst episodes, but as she grew older, they became friends and she became more and more stable. So, I mean, I remember when I look back into my childhood, we just think of fun and playing and having sisters. Don't think of it as, but I remember those moments, and when you think deep into them, it hurts. Like, they shaped me into, like, they just shaped me. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. Like, I would definitely have a much more different lens story to tell. They were very tough, and thinking of them, like, it's tough. Like,
I feel like it's like what you said. I feel like it's very important to create normalcy, because if you think back, like now, okay, if you think back and you're just like thinking, and all you can think about is, oh, we had so much stress, we had to go, so to have that thought of your childhood and still think of nice moments, and although that was happening, it did not overshadow every other thing. So I think that's definitely very important. But did it ever feel draining? Because I know, and I ask this question because most sickle cell patients, having this foundation and having conversations with people that are living with sickle cell, most sickle cell patients, they have this thing in common. There's always this feeling that, oh, I'm feeling like a burden. I feel like, oh, I'm being too much, or, I come with so much and things like that. So did it ever, from your own side, like looking at it through, a secondary lens. I don't know if I can.
Yes, I
Yeah,
get what
looking
you
at it
mean.
through a secondary lens. That did it ever feel draining?
This thing, first of all, what Ibedra said is very true, because there will be sometimes a family member should be in like the deepest depths of be surrounding her, massaging, using water, everything we could do, and she would be wailing, and then obviously we would start wailing. And at that moment, she would stop crying, and she would say, "I'm okay, I'm okay, don't cry. Like, you guys, don't cry, it's okay, like, I'm okay, Jesus will heal me, it's okay." Because our pain was worth, seeing her she's in pain was worse for her. And that always used to get me, like, even as I'm saying now, my voice is already shaking. But so I guess that she always had that constant worry of being said of being a burden. I'm quite sure everyone else in my family, we didn't see it as that. It was just helping her get better. Let her take all her medication, do everything, go for her checkups. Like, if anything, sometimes I felt I think, like, there was a time I was in secondary school, I had an exam, I had to go and write, and I hated that exam. Sister wanted to be there than writing this nonsense exam. But they forced me. They say you have to go and write.
They said they forced you. It was for school now.
Like, I was like, my purpose right now is to be there for my sister. So it wasn't, I know I never saw it as a burden. It was just, I want to be there for her. I want to help in any way I can. Let's get over this. Let's have it better. So that was just always the focus. And that's why whenever she would say that kind of thing, we would be like, no, then we stop crying. No, we're not crying. We're happy. It's okay. You'll be fine. Anything to make her better. I remember, like, this funny story. We always laugh at it. There was a time, unfortunately, she had pain and we had gone on holiday or something. And because of that, we couldn't go because she was in pain. We couldn't go do something that we wanted to do. And she was there. She was saying, like, I see now, because of me, we can't go. And then I started shouting, "Tell your sister you don't want her to. You don't even want to go. You hate it. Tell her you hate it."
Serious?
We started. We said we hate it, or we don't like it. We hate it.
Oh my goodness.
So,
wow.
like, that never was like a burden type of thing. But you now, from the horse's mouth yourself, like, that issue of feeling a burden, is it something that's gotten better over time, or how do you deal with it?
Oh my goodness, wow. Has it gotten better over time? I don't think that it has, and I don't think that it hasn't. I don't even know if that's an answer, but like, because like what you said, that's how I feel. Like, when someone, it's, the pain that you have, like, as a sickle cell patient, that pain is bad. I don't know how to rate it, but I used to describe it like, it's as if someone takes two bones and grind them together. Like, it is bad. It is bad. It's bad. Even just thinking about it now, like, it's bad. But the funny thing is, what is worse than that pain that I've just tried to describe is seeing your loved ones watch you in pain and knowing that it's breaking their heart that they can't do anything about it. It is that one, that one is just on that level. And that feeling is just nah. It's just on another level, and you just want to try and just be better for them. Like, let everybody just be better. But I feel like that's what love is, when each person is putting the other person first. Like, that's just the definition of love. Like, each person, because me, I'm feeling I'm being too much, being in this pain and all that, and you are there feeling, oh, how can I help? How can I make her feel better? And we are just both on, trying to make the other person feel better, really. So it's really, really a good example of what love is and what love means. But in terms of just feeling like a burden, wow, I can't say it has, honestly, I can't say it has gotten better, because of the fact that I still have experiences where, I'll be sick and I would not want to tell anyone. You get, just because I don't want to put people in that position. When you know that someone's just worried about you and they can't do it, especially now that most people are, like, not most people shall, but for me, in my family, my sisters are like in different places. Me, I'm in a different place. My closest friends are all in different places. And so now look at me now being in the hospital in a certain place. And I don't have those people around me What am I going to do? Call them and be like, oh, I'm not feeling well. It doesn't make sense to me because of the fact that they can't do anything. They are literally how many miles away? What are they going to do? I'm just I'm just stressing their life because they are just going to be on the other side, being worried, being, oh my goodness, I hope she's better. I hope, and family members and people that love you, they always sort of exaggerate the pain because sometimes you might be like, oh, I just have a slight crisis in that, oh, I'm just having my joint in my elbow or something. But so that person on the other side of the phone or on the other side of the country, that person is thinking, oh, this one cannot breathe, this one cannot, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So it's just really stressful. And that's why I don't know if that translates as the whole burden thing, but that's why I don't necessarily, would inform people. But then again, if I'm to inform anybody, it would be people that are closest to me. Because I think we've had a conversation about this when, you know how someone, like you're sick, people are coming to see you and things like that. Like, honestly, Chai, I don't know if you've experienced this before or, you're, having to experience all of these things surrounding sickle cell. I don't know if it's something that you've talked about. But when you are in the hospital, like, what sucks more than being in that position is when someone comes to you, like actually comes to see you and is pretending to care about whatever it is that you are going through. And that's another reason why I just try to keep certain things to myself. And my mom hates it. She hates it. And I understand why she hates it. But honestly, I'm like, nah, like, I can't do this particular thing to please you. Like, I would do, in normal things to please you, but not just this one because I cannot stand when people that do not like you, it's not even about like when people just, do you know how, like, for an example now, I had this friend in school and obviously, I don't know what it is that went on between the two of us. I really don't know. But I really did not think like, oh, she liked me or, and there was a time I had been sick and I told my mom, this is what my mom does. I love her with everything that makes me up, but this thing annoys me. This is what my mom does. She will call, like, everybody she knows that is my friend, she's calling them. Oh, And if you know my mom, love her, love her, love her, but she panics. She's a panicker. And she will call them. She's like, whether it's somebody that I've not spoken to in 3 years, as far as my mother has your number. And when she has your number, she'll call you and be like, if he's in the hospital, this and that and that and this. You get so, and then these people will now sort of like feel obligated to come to the hospital to come and see me. Like, this is somebody that, and this is what this person did. She had said, like, she had made a statement which, a friend of mine was there and she was like, oh, let her just go. So it's not something about death. You get something about death and just going. So it's not look somehow, because I can just, this might be the last, like something in that line of, yes. So my dear, if I just see the experiences I've had, that's what, I'm very to myself when it comes to things like this, like even generally, it's just because of all these experiences and how human beings can be. Like something in the line of just death and let's just go, that kind of thing. Now before they will not say something, before it might be her last her last breath or whatever. And this person is coming to see me with a smile on their face after saying something like that. Like, I don't want you to come and see me. Like, I really don't want you. You are not the doctor, you are not the nurse, you are not Jesus Christ. Auntie, please don't come and see me. You are not my family member. Just stay. If it's that bad and if it's that serious where you have to pretend to come and see me just because you think I might die, then it's not necessary for you to leave your house and take that stress, take that time to come and see me. It is absolutely not necessary because it doesn't do me any good when someone like that comes and see me. I honestly do not appreciate it. Like, I don't want it. I don't appreciate it. I don't stand for that as well. Like, if you're going to be horrible to me, take it with your chest. Like, be horrible to me in your chest. Like, even when I'm sick, stand on that stool that you decided to stand on. Don't come and now say, because, and then now linking it to death. Like, anybody can die at any time. That's the thing. You don't have to be a sickle cell patient to say, oh, you're going to drop dead tomorrow. No. Like anybody can die at any time. That is it. Like it's not about sickle cell. Death is not about sickle cell. And like it's just horrible when you hear the things that people actually say. So horrible when you have to experience that and hear that. So all of this now translates to, oh, you not wanting to do certain things, you not wanting to say certain things. But in all of that, and which is what I am trying to always remind myself, is that at the same time, me feeling a certain way, me maybe feeling that, oh, I'm a burden to, the people that love me, it's also hurting for them when they hear that I feel that way.
Dad, please, let me just take over in this realm, because this is a fight me and Ivy, we're still actively
goodness.
till today. Like sometimes I'll be we were roommates too, like roommate. You won't know what is happening. Like that's just how she has said all the like trauma and things she has gone through. Because of that, it's hard for her to just like, oh yeah, I want it. Like allow me. I don't mind. Like you almost there have been times I've begged, allow me, let me. How can I help? Like how can I be of like you almost have to, because actually it hurts. It hurts so much. Like if there's one I can do all by myself. Like if she does not want to burden exactly everything she has said. So from the other side, it's very hard. So I realized that with patience and with time, small, it has gotten better. It's still not the best because there's still time to today. The kind of questioning you have to question your day before it will come out in passing that I wasn't feeling too well.
I just like the way you just said it casually. Like, I wasn't feeling too.
You should just say casually. Casual.
Oh my goodness! Wow. I'm working on it. Honestly, I'm laughing, but though I'm actually working on it. I'm working on it, and it's just like every other thing when it comes to sickle. Like I have on a continuous path of progress. Continuous path. But if you had met me 2000 and like what year now? Before MDCN days. Even in MDCN days, I was still working on it. But if you had met me before then, man, oh goodness, I wasn't as good as I am now when it comes to all of these things. And it's just about all these experiences. Like if I tell you the things that people have said, and then sometimes they say these things, I don't know if they know that you are actually hear them, like you are, why, do you understand? So it just makes you wary and it makes you conscious of people, and it's bad because it seeps into the good people as well. So now they now have to suffer something that because someone has been a certain way. And I don't know if it comes with this whole sickle cell thing, but you can sense when people are not genuine, especially when you're in that hospital bed. Like you can sense it. You can sense the person that they forced to come and see you. You get that kind of thing. You can sense it. And I don't like when you have to pretend to like someone because you feel like, oh, this person is dying or this person is sick. And like, if you're going to be genuine about it. But if you're not going to be genuine, then please stay in your house. It's not necessary. Like, stay in your house. Like, don't stress yourself. Thank you very much. Send me a text message. A text message we do. Like, just stay in your house. So it's a continuous learning process for me, and I'm honestly learning that it's also not a good thing at the other side. So I'm learning that, and I am getting better, and I will get better by God's grace. I will get better.